talk about there being a crisis that's happening today, right? So we can attribute part of this to the patriarch, 100%, and the dictation around women's health and how that progressed and the lack of studies that were done to support women in times of need. Then we've got the pharmaceutical industry, right?
Yep.
Which was profiting heavily with the rise of birth control pill, right?
Heavily. And anti-anxiety, depressants, stimulants. Like, you keep women unhealthy, then you're going to profit off of that. I mean, it's not just, it goes beyond birth control. Like, they make money on all of this, a sleep aid, right?
Yeah.
You treat the root cause and give somebody hormones, you don't make any money on that.
Right. And then we now have decades then of women not being given the attention that they need, the support that they need. And we've gotten to a point where hormone imbalance, miscarriages, the rise of depression, the rise of stillbirths, like there's so many aspects around the pre-pregnancy, pregnancy, and post-pregnancy aspect that have just been so compromised, numbers that we've never seen before in history. Can you tell us about some cases and why you're calling this a hormone crisis?
Yeah, I think that it's a crisis because we have had no innovation in decades, over 25 years for women in terms of hormone therapies and advancements. And we have convinced women to be afraid of something that their body naturally makes. We have made women fear estrogen, which maybe is sexist, but it's, making them fear estrogen or making them think that estrogen's a problem. But this has been devastating. This is devastating.
Right. We became fearful of hormone therapy, right?
We have become fearful of it, something that's natural.
Where did that come from?
A lot of speculation because of the studies, the Women's Health Initiative that was published, 20 something years ago. That the authors retracted their findings and said, actually, this doesn't cause breast cancer. But by then, Mark Twain said that, a lie will travel halfway across the world before the truth will even put its shoes on.
Yeah.
And this is the case with hormone replacement therapy and estrogen. And the media this is fear mongering at its best. The media made it seem that estrogen caused breast cancer. And because of this fear, there's been no innovation. And then doctors and 50% of all women believe that estrogen causes breast cancer. That was this recent statistic, and that's not true. And not only does it not cause it, but it protects against it.
And this runs deep, right? Like, even women today who are reading the studies against this are still fearful of hormone replacement therapy and starting estrogen because of those studies.
Yes.
Yeah.
What is a bigger problem? Like, you're telling women that they're the problem.
Yeah.
That your own hormone's the problem. I mean, this is...
You caused this.
You caused this.
Yeah.
And this is...
And it is so complex, right? It's not like there's a cookie cutter solution in order to put women on hormone therapy during a specific time at their cycle, during a specific year. Like, it's such a complicated aspect because there's so many pieces that are contributing to hormone imbalances. What do you think is triggering so many women to have those imbalances today?
I think that we're seeing it younger and younger, right? So we always have kind of known that as women approach the age of 30, that hormones drop off significantly. Like, she maybe produces 20% of what she used to. And our ancestors were never meant to have babies in their 30s and live till they were 90.
Right.
We were meant to have babies as a teenager. And so the ovaries just fail. Like, they just don't work. They function not as well. But now this concerning kind of rise in PCOS and endometriosis and heavy periods, painful periods, cysts, fibroids, a lot of pathology, a lot of problems in the younger years even, or even just more pronounced perimenopausal symptoms in the 30s. It could be environmental. I think it's largely environmental and diet.
Yeah.
We know that there are endocrine disruptors all around us. And again, there's a misconception that they act like estrogen. They don't. They block the estrogen receptor.
They block estrogen. Yeah.
They prevent the production of your own hormones.
Right.
And that's where the problem. And so then you're basically making a young person infertile. And this happens to both men and women. We focus on men or these younger, but this is really happening to women. And this is where, it's in the food. You know more than me where all these are, but this is...
Yeah, so the food we eat, the water that we drink, the environmental toxins and pollution that are around us, the chemicals that are literally lingering in the fabrics, the clothing that we put on.
The fragrances.
So
the phthalates.
I've shared this so many times on this podcast, but I stopped getting my cycle when I worked in the cosmetic industry. So I was spraying rooms with fragrances and like inhaling them every day. And then I was slathering a mask of makeup on my face from those products that also had fragrances and dyes in them. And it's like, No one even thought to ask, like, oh yeah, that could be contributing to you not having your cycle anymore. And it's just wild still now. It's almost been, gosh, 15 years since I left that industry. There's still, lineups of little kids at Sephora to get the fragranced lotions and lip balms and what is that other store? Bath and Body Works?
Oh,
Bath and
where you
Body
walk by
Works.
and you can smell the fragrance and you're just like, no.
I know, but like, how do we know what we know today? My hand's over my face. How do we know what we know
It's
today?
so
And
like, oh.
those stores are still legal,
I
right?
I won't allow that in my house around my son.
Yeah,
So
same.
fragrances, like even the laundry detergent, we use a fragrant free. The
Yeah,
phthalates are
yeah.
real. They definitely disrupt this cycle. And so women are not ovulating and we have to ovulate in order to make these hormones.
For sure. There's a meme that goes around for people who still use Tide detergent. It's like an assault to your senses when you give them a hug these days. I remember that. I was so nostalgic as a kid, but now if I smell Tide, it's like, oh my God, it's like so chemically.
Yeah.
So yeah, do your best to clean up at home. And, as we're speaking, I can really understand that for people who are just new to wanting to dive into this, how it can feel so overwhelming. Like, whoa, 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 whoa. Where do I start? They're talking about pollution, food, water, cosmetics, clothing, everything. Pick one category, maybe the thing that could be causing the most impact. I think in our house, it was all the personal care products because there's so many of them, and start there,
I think that's a
right?
good idea. I mean, and especially if you can do it this way first
Yeah.
and try to remove the problem, you're going to be better off. If you can't, then you can there is always hormone replacement therapy is not, it
Yeah.
isn't a safe, like, especially if you're over the age of 30. And even if those women remove they do everything, right? They're getting the diet, they remove the plastics, they remove the
Yeah.
phthalates,
Yeah.
and they're still having problems. Hormone replacement therapy is okay. Like you can
You
replace
got
the
it.
progesterone you're not making.